Okay, so this is our first morning in Greece, and we were near the ancient site of Amphipolis, and we saw this cool herd of goats over there, and the shepherd is talking on his cell phone, and you can perhaps hear the goat bells. Okay, so now I have my slightly longer lens for a good view of the goats. You can hear the shepherd, and bringing up the rear here, you can see the sheepdogs. Where are those little pesky guys? There they are. There's a sheepdog. There were two of them, so there's another one there somewhere. And these goats have been walking along the Strymon River. Strymon River having famously been crossed by Xerxes on his way to destroy Greece. Special request from Joe. I'm now taking pictures of the dogs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right, there's 5 of those guys. And the shepherd's calling them, and they're going toward him. Okay, so this is the ruins of Philippi, which was an important city of antiquity. Among other things, the battle between Brutus and Octavian took place on the plain near here, which led to the death of Brutus. And Paul, the apostle, founded the church here. And we're at the entrance. This town predated the Philip of Macedon, but he renamed it after himself and fixed the place up. Over there is the theater. We're going to go look at that in a minute. And this is the theater. Very impressive. This is actually, as you can see from the sign that I took a picture of, this is the Roman iteration of the theater. And apparently they had animal fights here in the theater. We're going to climb up on into the theater here in a minute. It's cool the way above the theaters are the rocks. And obviously this place is still used for something, because there's a booth up there, and there are lights, so they probably have productions here in the summertime. And this, of course, is the entrance. There's another one on the other side. Very nice site. There's a lot more to this town, which we'll see in a minute. Right now we're just at the theater. Now, as you can see, this theater has been maintained, or I should say restored. That concrete caps on the seats. And it's set up to have productions, but I think by and large, most of what we're looking at here is the original, real deal. So looking down that way, you can see the ruins of the city. We'll be walking down there. Right now we're at basically the top of the stadium. Beyond the ruins of the city is a plain. And in that plain is where the Battle of Philippi took place, marking the end of the Roman Republic. Yeah, the Roman Republic was pretty well dead anyway, but after that, there was just no question that it could ever possibly be revived. And looking down here on the theater, it's a nice breeze out here. It's about low 70s, maybe 72, 73 degrees out here, something like that. Okay, so in this arch, the entrance into the theater, there's this really cool inscription in Greek, which of course I can't read. But I find it very interesting nonetheless. A winged figure handing out the wreath of victory. Now there's also one on the other side of this arch, but the one on the other side of the arch is in much worse shape. Okay, so now I realize I had my microphone not set correctly. Every time I start one of these trips, I have to adjust stuff. Now I've got the microphone correctly adjusted, I believe. Okay, so this is the road that leads away from the stadium and toward the museum, and over there is the ruined city. I do not have my wind suppressor on. I had left it at the hotel like a knucklehead. But so there could be some wind noise here. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the ruins of an ancient Christian basilica, which was built around 500 and was later destroyed in an earthquake, although the sign doesn't tell us when. And if you look up here, there is a Roman shrine to, I believe, Artemis, if the sign is correct. This is the sanctuary of, I think, Artemis. And you can see there are niches in the native rock there. There's a sign, which I can't read, but presumably we'll be able to read it on our big screen. So So that's looking over the ruins of the basilica down into the city. We'll be going down there in just a bit. Okay, so we're overlooking Philippi, and then here's a nice little sign. Okay, this is interesting. This is a side chapel of the basilica, and you can see some of the paving, the capital that fell off. And over here is real interesting, I think. The paving appears to have, of all things, it looks to me like porphyry. And look at this. Some ancient stuccos with just a trace of color left. This would have been a side chapel of the basilica. I was just blowing away a pesky bug. And you can see there's the main part of it. In the end, the plants and the bugs get it all. This must have been a magnificent basilica. Look at the marble floor. They've got the veins of the marble all lined up. Now there are columns all around here. This is a green marble column, or what's left of one. And you can see over here various columns and capitals, all destroyed. And look, there's a big old turtle. Let's go look at the turtle. There he is. He rules this place. He and his friends. He's looking at me a little warily. Here's some more of this green marble. Maybe it's not marble. Maybe it's, we call it a conglomerate. But it must have been, when polished, it must have been gorgeous. Where'd Mr. Turtle go? Oh, there he is. Hello, Mr. Turtle. He's eating away. He doesn't care about Greeks and Turks and earthquakes. Oh, he went back into his shell. There's his little head. Now over there is the Archaeological Museum of Philippi. What's really interesting, I think, is this ruin here. This is the ruins of another Christian basilica dating to the 6th century, probably destroyed by earthquake in the 7th. And they didn't even know this thing was here until they were excavating for the Archaeological Museum. And they found this thing. Is that amazing or what? So over there is the plain of Philippi, which is where, somewhere in there is where the battle took place. And this, still going around this basilica, you get a better sense of it from this view of how there's one level, and then it goes up a level, and then it goes up a level. That must have been the high altar right in there. Okay, so these are sculptures from the theater. Okay, so this is the entrance to the museum. with various pieces of statuary, etc., that have been taken out of Philippi, however you pronounce it. But the one I find particularly interesting is this guy here. It's a panoply showing Roman sword, greaves, suit of armor. I guess that's Roman, might be Byzantine. Very interesting. That's looking south, and this is looking southwest, over this way. Okay, so this is the alleged prison of St. Paul. I have to check my Bible to find out about him being imprisoned down here. One of the signs up there said that this is, by tradition, the prison of St. Paul. It was a cistern. Interestingly, there are traces of frescoed wall there, but this was the southwest corner of the church. If I got that right. Correcto, because there is the compass. You can see north, you can see south, and you can see west. Okay, now you can see this is a really vast ruin. I'm afraid there's all kinds of noise on this. Doggone it, I didn't bring my noise suppressor. I'll correct that tomorrow. This is just vast, humongous. Him almost 2 hours ago. This is the center of town, the Forum. This is nothing short of spectacular. Spectacular, gigantic, huge. These would have been the shops and whatnot that surrounded it. There's the remains of a statue. To give you a sense of the scale of this place, you can see some people walking up there. This is really amazing. Because unlike, say, Rome, there's a modern city built over top of the ruins. This one, there was no modern city on top of the ruins. these were excavated, and look at it. It's amazing. Here you can see the orientation of the Forum. We're looking basically southwest. This is so often the case, and we've seen in other towns, there's not much left of the Greek city because the Romans built this on top of the Greek city, or they enlarged, made this into a spectacular town. After Octavian defeated Brutus, this became I think a provincial capital and a military outpost to keep the bad guys from coming from Asia into the Roman Empire. Well, I was wrong about one thing. I didn't think this place would be occupied, and certainly not occupied by American tourists, but there's all kinds of American tourists here. I think basically they're on Bible tours, you know, because this was the city of St. Paul. In fact, we're going to go look at a basilica in a bit, which was built to the memory of St. Paul. Now here's a nice touch. At one end of the Forum, the municipal library. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? Now this is the remains of a Christian church built around 550 and called Basilica B. This thing was massive, just massive, destroyed by an earthquake. Same earthquake that destroyed that other basilica that we were looking at. But while we're at it, we'll get another view of the Roman city. Again, this is just a massive set of ruins. Just incredible. Of course, when this was built, the Western Roman Empire, by that time, had ceased to exist. So we're looking at Eastern Roman Empire, aka Byzantine architecture. Built probably around the same time as Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, come to think of it. Check out this green stone. Which lined the interior of this church. And as always, there's preservative work going on. That's some scaffolding there. Always like to see that, and I don't mind spending my $3 to get in the place if it's going to help pay for the preservation of this stupendous site. Here's some people who have graffitiized this. course, these ruins are fabulous, but it's even more fabulous to go into a surviving church such as Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. We're going to go to an Hagia Sophia in Thessaloniki, which dates about to, I think it's a 6th or 7th century church. It's survived all these years. We're going to go see that in the next couple of days. That should be good. Okay, so now we're looking at the main road, the interstate highway of the Roman period, the Via Egnatia. This road went from Constantinople all the way to Rome. Thessaloniki, went to Thessaloniki, and it ended up with connections. You could go to Rome on this road. And interestingly, the modern highway parallels this road. The highway's right up there, or there's a road right up there. You know, I now have this entire huge place all to myself because a busload of tourists just left. They're obviously biblical people. They were speaking English and they were talking about God and angels as they walked by. I have this huge town all to myself. Okay, so now we're at the octagonal structure, which was an octagonal Christian church built in the probably, I think, the 5th or 6th century. There's a surviving octagonal Christian church in Ravenna, which we have visited. This one's a ruin, but you can see the remnants of the floor. And over here are some beautiful mosaics. Floor mosaics. And they're kept safe from the weather by this roof structure. I'm going to walk over there. Now I cannot make out what those designs are on that mosaic floor. They almost look like a floral design, but I can only say that this doesn't begin to compare with the Roman mosaics, either the Mausoleum of Constanza or, for example, that villa in Sicily. Still, they're the nicest mosaics I've seen all day. Okay, so this is a little better view. You can see birds, and I guess that's a tree. And over here, a roundel with various things on it. In any case, even though we can't see these too well, you can see the octagonal structure. There's one edge of the octagon. There's another. And in here you can see more octagonal shape. It's a little muddled, but you get the basic idea. Okay, so this is the southeast corner of the town area, and it's interesting. You can see this road. This is definitely a road, and I saw some, the usual tracks in the stone made by the carters. Back there, here's some That looks like an example of that phenomenon right there. So there's a kind of a road going around this town. And last but not least, this looks like the quarter of town where the actual work got done. It's fenced off, although there was one open gate, so I came in here. But I'm not going to roam around too much because I really don't want the cops coming after me. Supposedly, somewhere in here, there's a public latrine, but I didn't see it, and I can't walk around to find it. You can see that Roman archwork down there, although I don't know, that looks like it's been reconstructed, but you know, they've reconstructed it where they can. The nice thing I appreciate about these Greeks is they will reconstruct stuff where it's obvious. They won't reconstruct stuff where it isn't. Okay, I'm leaving the city, and as leaving the city, I came across these good old giant storage jars. I always like to take pictures of the giant storage jars. Okay, one parting shot. This is the business end of the town where the workshops are and the cook shops, and you can see what appear to be ovens down there, and these are just little workshops and maybe some houses down here. And along the side is the highway. There it is. And it goes up that way, just alongside the town. And here's the modern highway that parallels it. And that's it, folks. Well, I guess I wasn't quite done, because here's a view of some remnants of the ancient walls going over to the theater. And now I'll go find Joe, and we'll go back to Thessaloniki. Except there are a few more ancient walls.